And again, we're going to look at this from the tenant's perspective because they're the ones that are ultimately exposed to the performance of these projects. So environmental upgrade charges, they're a statutory charge, and a statutory charge forms part of the outgoings under most leases, but it also is a charge on the land. Just on another note, the charge does not appear on title or typical ASIC searches associated with other mortgages. This is a charge on the land. It will show up on your land information certificate upon when you transact on a building, but it doesn't show up as a registered mortgage or charge on the business or the land. So therefore we have the ability to pass on the charge by agreement to tenants. But the challenge is how do you get them to agree to pass on these tenants? Well, basically put yourself in their shoes. What do you want out of this? What's going to be of value to me as a tenant? My core business, 9 times out of 10, is not that of owning and operating buildings. I might be a lawyer, I might be a consultant, I might be a manufacturing head office or a mining head office. I have my priorities in other areas. But what they do all have in common is increasing energy costs associated with occupying that building. So how do we get them to agree? What's in it for them? Well, basically, you've got to deliver a win-win for buildings. The project we look at here is low risk and also comprehensive. So basically the same as the first project, but we're also going to compare it to a base building project alone, as is only enabled by debt. So the 3 projects that we have here, the first one is tenant business as usual. So the blue area basically being their base building energy costs, and the tenancy energy costs associated with their occupancy of the building. The 2 projects that we're going to go, I'm going to jump right across to the right-hand side over here. We're looking at a tenant post retrofit, essentially through a base building project only. So the building owner has said, we're going to do this, we're going to do the base building upgrades, and based upon the savings and you being no worse off, the yellow area is the subsequent environmental upgrade charge, and that represents a charge that the tenant pays to the building owner, and then the building owner collects and passes on to the City of Melbourne. However, the second area that is most interesting is really the middle project here, where you actually increase the amount of the yellow area. Essentially what this is, it provides a hedge for tenants against future energy price rises. In that, the yellow area is a fixed charge. It doesn't have any escalation rates over the next 10 years if it's financed over 10 years. And this section is bigger than that on the right-hand side. So those fixed costs, you're taking variable costs. And when I say variable, they might have year-to-year kind of variations, but the trend is definitely up. You're replacing volatile costs, and you're putting the power of controlling your price risk within a business back into building owners' hands, rather than that risk setting essentially with their energy utilities. So this is a good hedge for both parties. Basically the yellow area reflects a greater payment from tenant to building owner, and also that increases the revenue available to the building owner. So the costs associated, and we talked briefly about it before, associated with a project like this, the capital costs might be greater, but the actual performance of that project is better. And what do I mean by that? You have a simple payback of a 3-year lighting upgrade blended with a 10-year base building upgrade, blends down to something like a 7-year simple payback, financed over 10 years. You've got a cash flow kind of project. So using low-hanging fruit projects available in tenancies to subsidise projects in base building projects to enhance the performance of those projects. So by attracting a greater revenue, so long as revenue is greater than the interest component associated with the project, you have every likelihood of enhancing the profitability of the buildings, and it follows, in my logic anyway, that if you have greater revenue, greater net operating income to a building, you have a greater chance of success of increasing the value of your building. So for the first time, these kind of payments actually reflect that a real payment associated with energy efficiency. From a building owner's perspective, it was always a hope and an opportunity that you get these kind of benefits, but tenants see the savings, whereas this is an actual payment from tenant to building owners. Then what we're trying to illustrate here is simply the effect of the hedge over time. You can see that if you did nothing, your energy prices over the next 3 years go up. If you just did a base building process, in year 2, you're going to be slightly better off, but not as better off as if you did a comprehensive building project. And then simply as you move through, you actually start to head into an even better position. So the environmental upgrade agreements economics of both of those projects that we've really looked at. Comprehensive projects, when you work with tenants to attract a tenancy lighting upgrade, actually offer a potential larger receivable from a tenant. Now what that means is that you probably have larger assets and liabilities sitting on your balance sheet, but in general terms they may net each other out. And it's potential, depending on your project and your building and everything else in between, to be cash positive from a building owner's perspective when you have that receivable coming in from your tenants. And the other one area which we hopefully will wash out in the next couple of years is that buildings financed through this mechanism actually enhance projects when compared to traditional debt. I mean, I guess that's the crux of all of this. When you're looking at doing a project and you have the choice of financing it out of debt compared to an EUA, because of the nuance and the differences associated with environmental upgrade agreements, actually perform a hell of a lot better than traditional debt. And developing a project with the intent of using an EUA really helps unlock those kind of opportunities. You have to think about all of these opportunities that are really unlocked by environmental upgrade agreements. We've run 2 of these other sessions in the past, and some of the things that I've noticed from the conversations out of those sessions is that the industry has developed around a problem, and that problem has been the split incentive. Now, for the first time, we've removed that problem, which is the split incentive, and we have to work with tenants, and that presents challenges both to you as providers to that space, but also to building owners, of how you actually engage with tenants to work with them to really protect their position as a tenant in your building, but also enhance your position as an owner of that building. So we've gone through in quite some detail project development. All the prerequisites are met. We're going to go and move on to the next stage is saying, all right, well now I'm ready to actually apply for the project.